principle that regarding tchum, that whatever is in the possession of a person, even if it's not his, financially his, but let's say you borrow something. You borrow a vessel, you borrow a coat, and it's in your reshus when Yom Tov begins or Shabbos begin, the object identifies with the borrower. Okay? And the Gemara goes to show that even a roer, even a shepherd, if you give over your sheep to one shepherd, and you intend to give it over to him to be there for Yom Tov, even though you deliver the sheep on Yom Tov, the sheep already are locked into the tchum of the shepherd. So even though the shepherd has no usage rights of the sheep, he's just responsible to take care of the sheep, that's enough that the sheep should identify with the shepherd, right? That's how we reconciled it. The Mishnah says that sheep are not karagli aroeh. It's not locked into tchum of the roeh. We quoted a Beitzah that it is. It's karagli aroeh. So the Gemara says it depends. If we're talking about there's only one shepherd for the community, so everybody knows in advance before Yom Tov starts that it's going to be given over to the shepherd. Because the owner of the sheep had in mind to give it to this particular shepherd. Well, let's say the two shepherds. So until he gives it, it doesn't identify with the shepherd. So therefore, when Yom Tov began, who did the sheep identify with? With the owner. So in that situation, the sheep are karagle habaylim. The sheep identify with the owner of the sheep. But in the Mishnah that it says, the Beitzah that it says that the sheep identify with the roer, it's being there's only one shepherd. The Mishnah says it doesn't identify with the shepherd, it's being the two shepherds. So since there were two shepherds, and he didn't make up his mind which shepherd he's giving it to on Yom Tov, and when Yom Tov came, he still hadn't made up his mind, so who does the sheep identify with the owner? Therefore, it's karagli habalim. Therefore, it's with the balim go, that's where the sheep be taken. The Beitzah, which is speaking about one shepherd, so therefore the person knows in advance he's giving it to this shepherd. Therefore, even though he only delivered the sheep on Yom Tov to the shepherd, the sheep identify with the shepherd, right? Then we spoke about what about a person, two people, they borrow a garment or a vessel. It's limited to the tchum of both individuals, right? That's what the Beitzah said. Then we quoted the Machlokes. Rav and Shmuel, this is important over here. This case here. Itmar, first white line. Ephraim, I need the recorder. The recorder. Itmar. Two people, they buy a barrel of wine and an animal to be divided on Yom Tov. They didn't divide it before Yom Tov. Rab says when they divide the barrel, each one can take the wine, his share of the wine, wherever he is. Why? Because it was meant to be divided. Ubei Masura. If they slaughter the animal, they divide the meat is locked into the tchum of both of them. Which it's contradictory. If we see the wine after they divide as if the wine initially was each of theirs unrelated to the other person, so why when you slaughter the animal, why do we see the animal that the animal itself, it should be seen as if it's already divided? That the share which is Reuven is Reuven, the share that's Shimon is Shimon's. Yet it says, Beim Asura. Shmuel Amar Shmuel argues Rav, and he says, Chavis Nami Asura. The Chavis is also not permitted. Even if they divide the wine on Yom Tif, the wine is locked into the tchum of both partners who originally purchased the wine. Now, we started off. Just let's talk about Brera. We had a case. You have a barrel of wine, untithed wine, and comes Shabbos, and he hadn't yet tithed the wine. So right before Shabbos, what does he do? He wants to tithe it without physically removing the wine from the barrel. So he says, the 2 pints that I'm going to take out Motzoi Shabbos should be truma now. The 10% should be meiser. And he identifies all the percentages. The question, is he permitted to drink the wine? So Morris says, the old Yesh Breira, if you say that even though at the time when you designated it to be truma, meiser, whatever it was, although it wasn't identifiable at the time, but since he said to be removed and then it will be identified, so we say, so which is the truma, which is the meiser, what's going to be removed from Motzei Shabbos? So as long as he doesn't drink all the wine, he leaves over those percentages, Motzei Shabbos, he's permitted to drink wine. Even though, does he know which wine he's drinking? He doesn't know which wine is going to be taken out from Motzei Shabbos. Doesn't make a difference. He says the 2 pints that I'll take, that is the truma. And he's allowed to. But if you hold Ein Breiro, that if the person doesn't know what he's affecting at the time that he's affecting, right? Do you know which 2 pints they are? You have no idea which 2 pints. It could be any of the 2 pints in the barrel. Therefore, what you said is meaningless. So let's see. Okay, so that's called yesh breira, ein breira. If you hold yesh breira, you can't drink, but over there I'm dealing with a doraisa. Okay? We rule halacha by a doraisa, ein breira. That if something is not clear at the time that you affect it, your statement doesn't mean anything. Okay? So therefore, over there you're not permitted to drink the wine. What about tchum is only Rabban we had before. Tchum, taking something beyond the 2,000 amos radius, that's rabbinical. Okay? Now, we say that the item identifies with the person. So if you should go take it beyond your tchum, what did you violate? Rabbanon. We rule halacha by Rabbanon, yesh breira. We say that even though it's not clear, we bought a barrel of wine together. We said to be divided. Right? 100-gallon barrel to be divided. 50 gallons is yours, 50 is mine. So that means initially when Yom Tov began, whichever ones we take out later, retroactively means those 50 were mine initially. So when Yom Tov began, those 50 gallons already identified with who? With the rightful owner. So if that's the case, each one you divide, he could take that wine wherever he could go. Correct? That's if you hold yesh breira. But if you hold ein breira, even on a rabbinical level, since it's like the doraisa, since what you said doesn't mean anything, and since it was unidentifiable, so all the wine, for all intents and purposes, is Reuven and Shimon's. It's like the garment, which is worn by 2 people, right? 2 people borrow a garment. So what do we say by the garment? It's locked into both of the tchum, because it's one entity. It's not divisible, the garment. So the wine, even though it is divisible, but since initially, when they bought in partnership, wasn't clear whose was what, therefore, again, both halves of the barrel are locked into tchum of both of those. And that's what Gemara is going to explain to Machlos Rab and Shmuel. Rab says, Chovis Muteres, the barrel is permitted if you divide the first wide line on 37b, first wide line. See it? So he's of the opinion, yesh breira. Yesh breira means that even though when he said they bought in partnership to be divided, it's unclear which half is whose, we say, retroactively, the part you get, that was meant to be yours from originally. Okay? Shmuel Machavis Namesur. So there's Mike Rav. So we have to say what is Rav. Ik Sava yesh breira. If he's of the opinion yesh breira, that verifying something later, we say is considered verified retroactively, as we just said. So what does Rav say? Only the barrel could be divided, and each one takes it where he wants. But the animal, after it's slaughtered, each one can't take his 50% of the meat and take it where he wants. V'ik Savar ein breira, and if he holds ein breira, even on a rabbinical level, afil chavos nami asura. So the barrel also, even if they divide the barrel, they shouldn't be able to take the wine where each of them could go, right? Because the effect of what he said it doesn't mean anything. Norman, you with me? Okay, terrific. So Mar says l'olam sav yesh breira. Rav holds yesh breira. So therefore, the barrel, when it's divided, we say each portion you receive was yours initially from before Yom Tif. So when Yom Tov began, whose domain was the wine, the 50 gallons, Reuven's, and the other 50 was the Shimon's. The Shanya Behema, the animal was different. Shanya means it's different. It's a different situation. That since the animal is a living entity, so each part of the animal benefits, is yonik, is nourished by the other half of the animal. So there's a continuous intermingling of what was mine before and was yours before when Yom Tov began. Now, some of mine is in yours and some of yours is in mine. So now, Breira is not going to help you on this. You got it. I'll give you an example. I have a barrel of wine. Okay? And then I take my wine, and you have your tchum, I have my tchum. And on Yom Tov, I take my wine and I pour it into your barrel. Kosher wine. That wine, and my tchum is not the same tchum as the one who has the barrel wine. And my wine, I take my wine, which identifies with me, in somebody else's barrel. Now you have the mixture. That barrel, what's its limitations? It's limited to the tchum of both of the people. The one whose wine was originally and the one who poured in his wine, correct? Because since it's all intermingled, it's irrelevant that initially the barrel was Reuven's and the poor wine that was poured in Shimon's. But now that they're mixed, it's a problem, correct? Same thing over here. When Yom Tov began, it was clear. This part of the animal was Reuven's, that part of the animal was Shimon's. But if the animal continues to live till you slaughter it, let's say, Yom Tov morning, what happens from time Yom Tov till Yom Tov morning? 12 hours pass. the animal is functioning. So that means every bit of the animal is being intermingled with every other part of the animal. So if that's the case, Ruvain's thing is in Shimon's in Ruvain's. It's like me pouring my wine into your barrel. Right? Do you hear it?
When he pours the wine into the barrel, he's not giving it to the person who has the barrel.
Even if he's giving it, even if I gift it to you. Person says, I have 6 more guests, I need another gallon of wine. Could you pour a gallon into my barrel? Right? And it's Shimon's wine. And Shimon's tchum is not Reuven's tchum.
If it happens on Yom Tov.
If it happens on Yom Tov.
Before it's not a problem.
Before it's not a problem. But on Yom Tov it's a problem. Because originally it identified with the one he borrowed it from. Right?
And you can't transfer the ownership.
No, ownership you could transfer. It doesn't make a difference because tchum identifies when Yom Tov began. And in whose domain was it?
So this is the barrel itself.
I'm not talking about the physical barrel. I'm talking about the wine in the barrel.
The physical barrel itself cannot be go beyond what the plum is.
Right. The barrel is like the garment.
No,
The barrel is like the garment.
The
No, but it's not because Yanki.
No,
It's not because Yanki. No, it's a different concept. There it's simple. Simple. We both own the barrel. By the animal, we have to come to a new concept. That even though when Yom Tov began, 50% was mine, 50% was yours, but since from that point going forward they continuously intermingle, that creates the problem. The barrel initially is both are barrels. We buy a barrel of wine. It's a 100-gallon capacity. Even though we divide the wine, but who owns the barrel? We both own the barrel, correct? So we both own the barrel, so the barrel is limited to the tchum of both of us. That's understood, it's limited.
Like you said, whoever left the last part of the...
It's okay. No.
The barrel doesn't...
No, it's in the barrel says, if you hold, according to Rab, the barrel is that person's. Of course, that's Yesh Breira. That's to determine whoever gets the last 50%, the barrel is his.
So like easier to think about the animal.
This doesn't help you. I'm explaining to you because...
No, because here's the barrel. It's holding everything.
No, because the barrel, and it's empty. It's inanimate. There's no interchange. There's no interchange in the barrel, correct?
There's no interchange in the barrel.
But by the animal, there's a continuous interchange of one part to the other part.
But if you're saying before Shabbos starts, you don't know who's going to end up with the barrel.
Doesn't make a difference. Let's say a barrel empty barrel. And I said, we bought a barrel in partnership. Whoever walks through the door first, that barrel will be his, to be determined. Okay? So this person walks forth, that barrel is his. So that means retroactively, from when Yom began, that barrel was his barrel. Same. That's like Yesh Breira.
So why can't you think of the animal? Whoever gets the animal,
No, they divide the animal. We're going to slaughter that and divide the meat.
okay.
So now, we slaughter it at 8 o'clock in the morning on Yom Tov. So from sundown the previous night till dawn, the animal was one entity, a living entity. Was the animal continuously, its system was one system. So every part of the system was nourishing off the other part of the system. So that means there's an intermingling with its blood, fats, enzyme, whatever it is, it's all it's intermixed over here. So now I slaughter, I kill it. In my meat, I have some of yours. Right? Because since sundown till this moment, some of yours has been added to mine, and some of mine has been added to yours. I'll give you an example. 2 barrels. Your barrel, my barrel. We have different tchumen. And both the barrel springs a leak, and it drips into your barrel. I didn't put it dripped, and it's been dripping since sundown. And a fraction of an ounce went in there. What's the halacha? It's not butter. There's no bittul on tchum. That barrel is locked into tchum both these people. Why? Because it leaked in after sundown. Here, the intermingling is like each part is leaking into the other person's. So the meat you have, is it totally yours? I mean, the other guy forgives it. He says, you can have it, not a problem. What I gave you, you gave me. Okay, so we're equal. But factually, but when did that giving take place? It took place after sundown. If the Yom Tov began, you can't designate it because it's an ongoing process. As long as the animal's alive, each part of the animal is nourishing from the other part of the animal. You can't avoid that. That's a reality of a living entity.
It must have happened ancient times. If you went to a butcher shop, and I was oversized before Yom Tov, and
But even for Yom Tov, it didn't help you. It didn't help you. It's limited. Correct. Right. Correct. Exactly. See, but usually the way it worked with a butcher, a person bought a cow, and the butcher is the sole owner of the cow. And now he slaughters it. Now people come and buy the different parts of the animal. It's not pre-designated necessarily. So if that's the case, who owned the cow when Yom Tov began? The butcher. When he slaughters it, he still owns it. It's only after he slaughters it. Now people come and they buy different cuts of meat, different portions of the animal. It's locked into his location. It's the butcher's location. Right. But here, initially they bought the animal before Yom Tov. Now they're taking it to a shochet to slaughter these two people. So now, the meat itself cannot be, even though you divide it equally, financially speaking, but in terms of tchum, it's locked in both at tchum. It's a very powerful story. Shmuel is easy. He doesn't hold the breira. If you don't hold the breira, since what you originally said doesn't mean anything, so therefore it's both of ours. So if it's both of ours, it's locked into both of our tchum. Not only the meat, even the wine. Right? Okay. Someone says, Mike Sov Rav, Iksav, so we said. Amri Le, Rav Kanav, Ravasi Le Rav. Rav Kanav Ravasi, they said to Rav, Isa Muktzah L'choshu, Isa Tchum L'choshishu. Let's see. The second one, Rashi. He says, Muktzah they're not concerned about. But they're concerned about Tchumin. Anat Sad Cholchad Minau Aksi Daiti Michelko Shachavero. V'mohirotzim Lo'ochlo Kan in Asur Maleim Mishum Muktzah. Loma Kolchelok Yonak Michavero. Yesh Kam Muktzah Lo Licha Ish L'Tchumo. Ato Ose Aleim. Menei Yeniko Zuim Yesh Lochush Tzorch Lochush Ap Mishum Muktzah. It's Tzorchim. He says, each person, although they had in mind to divide, right, but since your part is not my part is not your part, and each one is absorbing the other, what should be? Seemingly it's muktzah, because in his mind, he had in mind, your part is not mine. So what? Why should it be muktzah? Here he said, muktzah you're not concerned about, but tchum you are concerned about. I don't hear the shaila. What relevance does it have to muktzah? Toast this question. In this, let me ask a question. The way Rashi learns the Gemara is not understandable. He's saying to him, we originally bought in partnership, and I had in mind yours is yours, mine is mine. So if I had in mind that we could say with certainty that I was not going to take yours and you won't take mine, so therefore yours should be muktzah to me. We're talking about regular viable wine which is potable. The animal is available to slaughter. And if it's slaughtered, the meat, if I want to take my portion and give you a gift on Yom Tov, for your Suda, can I? Of course you can. Even though the man originally never believed that somebody would give him this portion of meat as a gift. And that's Tosa's question. Well, what relevance does this have to muktzah? We're talking about something which is edible. If somebody wants to give you something which is edible, even though you never thought about it, and as much as you want to get, if I say this cup of coffee, although it's drinkable, I negate it, it's not coffee. Doesn't mean anything. It's a cup of coffee. So even though in partnership I never believed or imagined your portion would be my portion. But if you choose to give me your portion, is your portion my portion? Of course, it's not muktzah. Right? We're not talking about something which is not edible. So that's Tosa's question. The kosher, ma'inika muktzah yeshkan. How could you say because they nourish one another that should be muktzah? I'm reading. If a person wants to give his fellow a gift of meat or wine on Yom Tov, what, he's not permitted because he never thought initially that meat or wine is going to be his? Of course he's permitted to eat it and drink the wine, right? Right? If you want to send a gift on Yom Tov, whether it's a living animal, a slaughtered animal, wine, oil, you could do it. Even though the person who received it never believed he would ever get it. We don't say it's muktzah because he never thought about it. As long as the item that he receives is something which has relevance to Yom Tov, it's viable. U'Parshas Rabbeinu Shmuel, this muktzah shabehemo godlo mosifo shamnunis b'Yom Tov, v'asur l'meicha shlochi. I've got this feeling Reb Yehuda v'muktzah l'isa tchumin. He's saying like this. We hold there's no lot, right? So if the animal grows, right? The animal grew an infinitesimal amount of fat was added. It grew, right? If it was alive yesterday, it's eaten. So there was some growth. That growth is what? It's no lot. So it's no lot. Should be muktzah. So what do we say? Somehow it's absorbed. It's so infinitesimal, we don't pay attention to it. So if you don't pay attention to no lot because it's so infinitesimal, why do you pay attention to the little bit that it nourished, that it intermingled? It's also infinitesimal. So you shouldn't be concerned about tchum. That's what he was asking. Okay? So that's his question. For muktzah, you're not concerned that the animal grew a mashu, whatever it grew, which should be nolad. But we say since it's so infinitesimal, so minuscule, we don't pay attention to it. So if the bulk of the animal was Reuven's, the bulk of Shimon, because of Yesh Breiro, the little bit of intermingling that when it was living entity, each part nourished from the other, we should ignore too. And therefore you should be able to take it wherever you want to take it. It should not be locked into the chum of both of theirs. Shazik Rav. Yeah? Rav remained silent, he couldn't answer. He didn't answer right away. Shazik Rav, he remained silent. It's terrific. Shimon says in the Mishnah Pirkei Avos, Kol yomai gidalti ben chachomim lo motzi l'guftov mishtika. It's Mishnah Pirkei Avos. It says all his life he grew up among wise men, chachomim, and the best quality characteristic he ever came upon was silence. You have to listen. Rav heard the question, he didn't respond immediately. Shazak. It's a phenomenal question. Okay, so now we want la'alocha. Let's say talk about the wine. To differentiate between the animal and the wine is not simple, and that was the question asked. But what is halacha? Do we rule like Rav and Shmuel? Do you say yesh breiro? Do you say ein breiro? If you say yesh breiro, you can divide the wine. If you hold ein breiro, then the wine is even the wine barrel of wine is locked into the tchum of both of the partners. Rav Oshi Omar yesh breiro. Rav Oshi says we say breiro. Meaning, each partner can take 50% of the wine and go home with it, wherever his home may be. Rabbi Yochanan ein breiro. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan is ein breiro. Can't. The wine is locked into the tchum of both of them. Let's see Rashi. No Rashi, okay. So now the Gemara asks, Rav Oshi Sav Yesh breiro. See, right now, the Gemara doesn't know what I said before. I told you, Allah, we rule by a doraisa ein breiro, by a rabbinical, we say yesh breiro. Right? The Gemara doesn't know this at this point. That's what the Gemara is going to need the Gemara's answer. Because here we're saying by the barrel, which is only Jerabon and Tchum, we say yesh breiro. Because we're going to cite a case which is a doraisa, which we hold of the ein breiro. So the Gemara says, it's contradiction, monavshach. If you hold yesh breiro, you should hold yesh breiro there. So the Gemara says, no comparison. There, which we're going to quote in a moment, that's a doraisa. By a doraisa, we rule ein breiro. With Rabbanon, we rule yesh breiro. So the wine is divisible, right? Because tchum is only, the prohibition to go outside tchum is only rabbinical. So by Rabbanon, we say yesh breiro. Somewhere says, the hatanad hames bebayis. You have a corpse in the house. Lo psochem harbek. And you have many exits or entrances. And now let's say under the lintel of the entrance, you have kalim. You have vessels. Kulam tmeim. Anything found under that lintel is tummy. Niftach echad man. Well, let's say they determined they're taking the corpse out of one door. So when they take it out of that door, we say it's revealed retroactively it was never meant to go through the other doors. We're talking about, let's say the doors are closed and the kalim are on the other side of the door. There's a concept known as sof tumah lotzeis, that the direction with the tumah was supposed to go out of, that contaminates. So over here, until you open the doors, it's unclear. It could go out of any one of the doors. But let's say finally you open the door. So that means we say it's revealed retroactively it was meant to go out that door. So therefore the kalim under that door, under the lintel of that door, are going to be tummy. Because when the mess goes through that door, what happens? There's tumah. The tumah is like it's under the same roof. So anything under that roof, the lintel, becomes contaminated. So Gemara says, Niftach echameh hu tam v'kol torah. Choshev lo tzir be'echameh, we're quoting a Mishnah. He had in mind to take one of them, o b'chalon sheish ba'abor al bor. He had initially in mind to take it out through one of the entrances, or a window that's 4 by 4, tefachim, which is large enough that you could take the corpse through a window. Matzal sal psochim kulo. All the psochim are what? A tor, because they're not meant to be taken out of the others. V'shamir says you had already have in mind before the person passed away that you're taking it out of that particular exit or take it out through that particular window. Even if the person dies. If you thought you're taking it out through a certain, even though before he thought about it, every one of them was conceivable, that he was taken out. Nevertheless, whatever one he thought he was taken out, that Pesach is Tomei. Bitmar lo amr boshio. L'karas ha'psoch mikam abo ein l'mafriya lo. So Raboshi says, to purify the psochim going forward, that's the argument. But retroactively not. But the question is, if you're Yesh Breiro, we just said Raboshi says, by the tchum, by the barrel of wine, each person will take the barrel he wants to go. So what does that say? What does Raboshi hold? Yesh Breiro. And here Raboshi says that going forward the Pesach is Torah, because you've already determined where you're going. But retroactively, when you decide through which exit you're taking it, whatever's before is tummy. But if you hold Yesh Breiro, then what happens later reveals that it was meant to be that initially. So why is it tummy? Right? We have a country through Raboshi. Raboshi says regarding the barrel of wine, they buy a barrel in partnership to be divided. When they divide in Yom Tiv, each half, we say retroactively was his initially. Therefore, Reuven can take the barrel, the wine to his location. Shimon can take it to his location. That's Yesh Breiro. Yet by the mess, we say that the Pesach is only Torah Mikan Labo from going forward, but retroactively not. But if you hold Yesh Breiro, it should be retroactively. That it's taken out there, that reveals that it was meant to be taken through that exit. So the Gemara says, Epoch Raboshi. Epoch. We have to invert the opinions. Raboshi ma Ein Breiro. Rabbi Yoshia holds Ein Breiro, meaning, and therefore, by the barrel of wine, each partner cannot take the wine home to his location. As he says here, regarding the Pesach, Rabbi Yochanan ma Yesh Breiro. Rabbi Yochanan holds the Yesh Breiro. Listen to this. So we're reverting Rabbi Yochanan Raboshi. This is Meisle, Rabbi Yochanan Breiro. Amar Rav Asi, Rabbi Yochanan Ha'achan Shachok L'kuchasein, Marzin Zel Zebiyovel. Now, you have an estate. Father dies, leaves over 5 children. Leaves his estate. Now, what happens if 2 brothers, they own a piece of property and they sell it to one? Reuven sells to his brother Shimon. Shimon sells to Reuven. What happens when Yom Tov comes? It's property there, so the land has to be returned to Reuven, and right? Shimon has to return to Reuven. Reuven has to return to Shimon. So let's say you have an estate, and you hold Ein Breiro. You hold Ein Breiro. Even after you divide the estate, it's not simple that the portion you receive after you divided the estate. If you're an only child, it's clear. The person's the sole heir. Whatever was the father's becomes the son's. But what about you have multiple sons, and now the estate is divided? Maybe Shimon received Reuven's portion, and Reuven received Shimon's portion. Who said the portion that on a Torah level that was meant to come to you came to you? Maybe you received the wrong portion, because they divided the estate. So if you hold Yesh Breiro, that whatever happens, it was meant to happen. That means Reuven, the portion Reuven received is Reuven's, Shimon received is Shimon's. But let's say there's a chance Reuven received Shimon, Shimon received Reuven's. So what happens when Yovel comes? It's the equivalent of a purchase, right? So I purchase, or my brother gives me a piece of property, Yovel comes, I have to return it. So Rabbi Yochanan says every 50 years it has to be put back into the pot. Instead of being a state, it has to be redivided. So what does that indicate? Rabbi Yochanan Zain Breira. Because if Rabbi Yochanan the Eish Breira, there's no reason to every 50 years to redivide it. Because whatever you receive, it's revealed, it's meant to be yours. Right? So we have a stereo. Rabbi Yochanan says by the barrel, each person, when you divide, Eish Breira, therefore each person take the wine to his tchum. And yet he says by the estate, every 50 years they have to redivide. They put it back in the kitty, and they redivide the pot, the estate. See, we see from there Rabbi Yochanan's Ein Breira. So how do we reconcile Rabbi Yochanan's two statements? We see them as buyers, as purchasers, and when you purchase a piece of property, it has to be returned to the original owner on Yovel. So Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan Breira b'doraisa. Maybe Rabbi Yochanan, he rejects, he holds Ein Breira, it's on the Torah level. So when talking about Yerusha is a Torah law, right? That's inheritance. But on a rabbinical level, which is Tchum, which is rabbinical, maybe there Rabbi Yochanan rules leniently, we say Yesh Breira. Yeah? And therefore, the wine, after it's divided, each partner could take the wine to his domain, to wherever he may be, although the Tchum doesn't overlap. Okay? That's how we're going to reconcile Rabbi Yochanan's two statements. By inheritance, which is the Raisa, that's what Rabbi Yochanan's Ein Breira. But Tchum, which is only Drabonon, so therefore he rules Yesh Breira, so therefore when the partners divide on Yom Tiv, each one can take his portion of wine, take it to his Tchum, although the Tchum doesn't overlap over one another. Okay? Clear? Norman, you have it clear?
This is the first place that general concept is.
What the Dorais Drabonon? Right. Somewhere says but Drabonon. Well, right. So now the Gemara is answering Rabbi Yochanan. So one is the only way we could reconcile the two states of Rabbi Yochanan is saying that by Drabonon, which is Tchum, he holds Yesh Breira, and therefore he holds the wine could be divided, and it's not locked into the Tchum of both of them. So Gemara says but Drabonon Yislek. Does Rabbi Yochanan hold by Drabonon? You say Breira. Well, Tony Ayo had said. Ayo is an Amora. Rabbi Yehuda Omer in Odom Mastal Shnei Dvarim Ke'achod. Yeah, a person cannot make a Tanai. Now, an interesting shayla. Hear what's going on here. A person lives in the community, and it's unclear, there's a guest lecturer coming. And the shul where he's lecturing is, let's say, 3,000 amos outside the city, to the north, and there's a shul 3,000 amos to the city, to the south. But he's not sure where the Chacham is going to say the lecture. The northern shul or the southern shul. So what he does, he makes it Tchum on both sides, and he says like this: if the Chacham comes to the north, I want to extend my Tchum to the north, that extra amount, so I should be able to attend the lecture. And he sets a Tchum in the south, and he says, if he comes to the south, I want that should be my Tchum. Okay? The question is, could he do it? So when Yom Tov began, which is your Tchum? You don't know which your Tchum is. So same with the old Breiro, right? If the old Breiro, I say, wherever he comes, that reveals that's where he was meant to come. So, because when does Tchum have to take effect? It has to take effect at the entry point of Shabbos or Yom Tov. Right? That's when it takes effect. So we say, when he comes, it's the term, therefore, that's the Tchum I meant. Right? So he says, Yehuda says, in Odom Mastal Shnei Dvarim Ke'ach Elam Kein Bo Chochel Mizrach Eruv L'Mizrach L'Mayrav Eruv L'Mayrav V'yu L'kan L'kan Lo. The Gemara is going to say like this. Let's say the Chacham came to the north or the south. I'm just not sure where. Right? So then you could do it. Because he already came. Right? That's not Breiro. It's like a condition. Right? If, in fact, he's to the north, that's where I want my Tchum to be. And if it's to the south, that's where I want it to be. To be determined. But what the determine? It's already been determined. I'm just not aware what happened. By the case of the 2 lugan that I'm going to take out, I'm tithing. Nothing happened yet. That's to be determined. Motzai Shabbos. Here the Chacham arrived. I'm not sure where he came. Did he go to the north? Did he go to the south? Wherever he is, he's there already. I'm just not aware. Okay, let's see it inside over here. V'otani, Ayo Rabbi Yehuda Omer in Oda Mastal Shnei Dvorim Ke'echod Elem Bo Chochel Mizrach Erul Mizrach V'mayrav Erul Mayrav V'yilu Kan Kan Lo. Let's see Rashi. It's the 5th line in Rashi. V'yitmar Omer Rabbi Oshi Hodem V'til Afi Shiyom Sames Choshev Moeles Letar Kelim Habon B'Psochim Machshov Ve'elech Hu D'Kamri Aval Kelim Neikora Lo. Meaning any vessels going forward, Rabbi Oshi says those Kelim are Torah. But anything in the past, not. Dein Breira Loma Hura Dokom Shiyomos Nami Daiti L'Hai Pischo. So you see Rabbi Oshi holds Ein Breira versus Epoch. We'll invert the positions. Rabbi Yochanan to... Yeah. L'kuch Hasein. Now we say Rabbi Yochanan says that when they divided it in the state, you see each of the brothers as if they're purchases. So if you see them as purchases, right? It's not clear that they received their meant to be their portion. So the purchase, they have to return it to the estate every 50 years. If it would be Yerusha, it doesn't go back. Maybe the portion that Reuven received is not his, it's really Shimon's. It's they exchanged their portions. So therefore they're classified as purchases. They have to return it. So Moshe says maybe we'll make a differentiation with Rabbi Yochanan that if it's Doraisa, that's what Rabbi Yochanan doesn't hold the Breira. So that's inheritance. Okay? Rega. Lamot keneged Devrat Torah going Yovel lo sabchinon abreira. Al b'drabonon lamot keneged isu tchumin drabonon. But to affect the laws of tchumin which are rabbinical, sabchin abreira, we rely on breira. Hilkoch chob subem el butar. Therefore, dividing the barrel or the animal, you can do what you want. Ub'drabonon misli v'atoni hayo. Shem Chochem, Ein Odem Mastal Shin Pech. What is the Eruvin tonight? Mastal Odem Ali Yeruvo Minich Shnei Eruvin. First, we make it tonight with his Eruv, and he sets 2 Eruvin, one to the north, one to the south. Sheshama Sheoset Chochem Lovo Somuch Liro. He heard that a Chochem is meant to come to lecture in the city, near a city, B'toch Dal Alofim, Lidrush Barabin, to lecture within 4,000 amos to one side of the city. V'nei Yudea Im LeMizrach and LeMairav. He's not sure is he coming to the eastern side of the city or to the western side of the city. So what does he do? Omer, imbo chochem lemay mizrach. If the chochem should come to the eastern side, eruvi lemizrach. Should mizrach equally. Shvisa, I want my eruv that I said in the east should be the eruv. Vol lemarav. If he comes to the west, eruvi should be a marav yikne vol lekan lekan. What about if you have two chacham coming? One chacham came to the east, one came to the west. He says, I'm not sure which lecture I'm going to. When I decide which one I'll go to, that's the one should be my eruv. Doesn't work there. See, that's much more complicated. In bo shnaim lemokam she'ertze elech. Ve'ever lemocher yehei eruvei. The tam the benish moshis. Lo seruach lemafreya. Ve'ev shekain. Elai de breiro. Chibore lemoch omrim hurver the ben hashmoshes nami daite legabe hai lachlo v'oma eno master shnei chachomim. Yeah. Yeah. He says if you only had one chacham coming and you're not sure did he come to the east or the west, you can make an error on a condition. If he's in the west, I want it to be the west. If he's in the south, it should be the south. But if let's say it's 2 chacham, and I'm not sure where I'm going, and I say, to be determined. They both came. Doesn't work, because that's Breira. You understand what's Breira? Okay? The concept of Brera is something hasn't happened yet, but when it happens, we say it was meant to happen. Let's say a Chacham is visiting a shul. I'm not sure, is it in the eastern part of the city, the western part of the city? He's wherever he is. I just don't know. So that's a regular condition. If he came to the east, I want my area to be the east. To the west, it to be the west. Is it something that initially wasn't factually reality until later? It was reality. I just didn't know where he was. Was he to the east, to the west? So I make a regular conditional Erev. If he's in the east, I want my Erev to be in the east. And if he's in the west, I want to be in the west. What about I have two Chachamim coming? And I haven't decided which one I want to go listen to, whose lecture. And I said to Erev, I said, tomorrow when I decide, that should be the one that I originally meant. But factually in your head, what did you have? You didn't know which one. That's Brera. If you hold Yesh Brera, then you could go to whichever one you decide. And Rabbi Yehuda says you can't do that. Two people, you can't. One person, you could. If it's two Chachomim, you can't. Right? Because that's Brera. So we see even by Drabonon, even by Erevin, which is a Drabonon, what are we saying? We're saying ain't Brera. If it's one Chacham, and you're not sure to which direction he came, that's a regular conditional Erev. But if there were two, and I haven't yet decided which one I want to go listen to, and if I set my Erev on that, it doesn't work. That's Brera, because we see even by Drabonon, even though Erevin is Drabonon, we see the Brisa says, ain't Brera. We want to say, according to Yochanan, where does he hold the Brera? By Doraisa. By Drabonon, he holds a Brera. So we're quoting a Brisa. Rabbi Yehuda holds that even by Tchum, which is rabbinical, if it's a Brera issue, we say ain't Brera. The Erev doesn't work. So you see, even by Drabonon, we don't say Brera, not only by Doraisa. So why, when you divide the barrel or the animal, do we say it's divisible and each one could take its portion? Of course, it's only Drabonon. We rule Ein Brera, and we even rule Ein Brera even by Drabonon. Right? The case of Tchum is Drabonon, taking it beyond the city limits. V'avinam bo. Wait, we didn't resolve it yet. Not the Tchum, we make the Eruv. So you should be able to go listen to the lecture of the Chacham. No, because, see, if it's one, and I'm not sure, whichever, wherever he came, I want my Erev. See, he already said it before Yom Tov. So we just have to find out where he is. What about the two? I haven't even decided which one I want to go listen to. So before Shabbos, so before Yom Tov, I haven't decided which one. It's not because it's not revealed. I don't know where he is. I haven't. So I say, but whatever I decide should be from now. If you hold the Brera, it's a problem. But if you hold the Yesh Brera, it's not a problem. It's like the 2 pints that I will take out, but I'm not sure which are the 2 pints at this moment. To be determined. If you hold, you can't do it with a Chacham. If it's one Chacham, you can do it, not with 2 Chacham. Because it's not Brera.
Because it's already decided.
It's decided, you just don't know. Here, you haven't decided. Or it hasn't been decided. Right? Let's say the Chacham himself hasn't decided which one he's going to. Be the same thing. Whichever shul the Chacham decides to go, that's the one I'm going to. So where's the Chacham, let's say Friday night? He's at somebody's house, he hasn't decided, and he's equidistant, he could go to either one. He hasn't decided yet. Whatever he decides, but he hasn't decided. When Yom Tov began, he didn't decide yet. So the Gemara asks, the Gemara says, it was asked, why, if you deal with 2 Chachomim, you're not sure if he's going to, which Chacham? Why do we say no? Dein Brera? Lizuchum Mari Nami in Brera. So if you're not sure, did the Chacham come to the east or to the west? It's also Ein Brera. No, it's not the same. We're not speaking about the Chacham hasn't decided which shul he's going to. The Chacham arrived. You're just not aware which shul he came to the east or to the west. But when you're dealing with two chachos, so that's not breira. But when I'm dealing with two chachomim, and I have to make up my mind which one, and I haven't yet made up my mind, that's a bona fide breira issue. On that we rule ain't breira. Amalesle the breira. So we see Rabbi Yochanan there's no breira even on a rabbinic level. Right? So we have a question. How do we reconcile? How can you tell me Rabbi Yochanan holds by the barrel of wine? He rules like that it could be divided because yesh breira on and what? Because Tchum's Drabonon. Rabbi Yochanan himself says explicitly that by Tchum we have two Chachomim. He holds ein breira. And what context are we speaking about? Tchum, it's Drabonon. Elo. Okay? No, man, here we're stuck at. L'olam lo sebo. So originally we wanted to invert Rabbi Oshia and Rabbi Yochanan. Let's not invert it. Rabbi Oshia is a problem, right? Rabbi Oshia originally ruled that the wine can be divided, and Rabbi Oshia had said by Tumas Mes that we say that retroactively, we don't say retroactive, everything's Tomei. Chilas le Rabbi Oshia b'reira d'oraisa. Rabbi Oshia is very good now. When does Rabbi Oshia not hold a breira? By a d'oraisa. That's the case of Tumas Mes, right? There are many exits to take out the mess. We haven't decided which one yet. So he says that all the kalim that were there when the mess died, are tummy. The future that you put there, whichever one I took out, will not be tummy. Right? In that case, it's only kam lavo. He said, all the exits are closed. He said, the person said, whichever exit I should take out the mess, that's the exit. And now you have kalim under all the other exits. So we say all the kalim are tummy under all the exits. Because in brera. We don't say, well, it was meant to, since it was taken out of that particular exit, it was always meant to be that, not the others. So the tumah wasn't meant to pass under the lintel of those other exits. Right? That's ein brera. If you hold yesh brera, we say, it was always meant to go here, not the other locations. Because it was a possibility it could have gone through. It's called sof tumah lotzis. Halachim shuksinai. If tumah was meant to go through a certain exit, it's tumah. Tumah.
Even if someone collects the kalim beforehand, before the mason comes through.
Right. Correct. No. When the mess hasn't taken that house yet, all the exits have kalim under the lintel. The doors are closed on all of them, so the tumah can't go through. But now I decide I'm taking through one door, through one exit. Until I made that decision, that mess could have been taken out through any of the exits. If it would have been taken out through any of the other exits, the kalim definitely would become tummy. Correct? Because as the mess is taken out, the tumah goes out there. The moment you open the door, take out the mess, the tumah is going out that door. So the kalim under that lintel become contaminated. So we say over there that any kalim that were under the lintel are all tummy. Because until you took them out, it was possible every one of those exits was a possibility the mess was going out through that exit. That's called sof tumah lotze. Since it could have been, the tumah could have gone through that exit, right? All the kalim are tummy. If you hold the H-braid, it's not a problem. If it was taken out of exit A, not B, C, D, and F, that means it was never meant to be taken out of the other exits. That means the tumah was never meant to go through that exit. So if that's the case, the kalim will tar. That's a doraisa. That's Rav Oshia. That's why he says it's tamei. But by the barrel, which is only tchum, right? Although it was undetermined before Yom Tov began, but now that they divide Yom Tov morning, we say the portion which is Ruvain, was always Ruvain's, and the portion with Shimon was always Shimon. So when Yom Tov began, this was his and that was his. Therefore, the tchum is based on each one independent of the other. Okay? See, what we're saying now is, what we wanted to say Rabbi Yochanan to reconcile with the stira, it wasn't reconciled because we found Rabbi Yochanan says it even by Tchum. But once we already made that differentiation, it fits in Rav Oshia. Rav Oshia it fits. Because where does Rav Oshia say Ein Breira by Doraisa? Where did we find, he says, where does he say he's lenient by Tchum? But in the case of the barrel, so we're able to reconcile. One's Doraisa, Ein Breira or Machmir. Yesh Breira, we're dealing with Rabbanan, so we say Yesh Breira. It's very good. Okay? Lolam lo teva. Chilesli Roshi Breira b'Doraisa. Al b'Drabban Islay. Dorish Marzucha, Halocha Rav Oshia. In this, we rule like Rabbi Oshia, that we hold by Doraisa, we hold Ein Breira, by Drabanan, we Yesh Breira. Amash Mo. Okay. You're going to have to see the very important Rashi for next week, that there's a case, we rule even on Doraisa, Yesh Breira. Even on Doraisa, Yesh Breira. There's a case like this. I'll just take 2 seconds. You know, let's say two partners, they buy a courtyard. And the courtyard is, let's say, 6 amos. 6 amos courtyard. It's not divisible. And now they want to divide. The person say, you take 3 amos, I'll take 3 amos. Each partner could say, I'm not getting involved in that. Because it's too small. Anything less than 4 amos has no value, has no function. So in that case we say, guro asik, guro igud. Either you buy me out or I'll buy you out. That you can't because it's not divisible. Okay? So let's say you have that kind of situation. The only way you can divide it, they retain ownership, is you use it on Sunday, I'll use it on Monday. Because to divide is too small. Each of them make a neder. I will not benefit from you, you will not benefit from me. Could they go in the courtyard? Now Reuven goes on Sunday, Shimon goes on Monday. Is it a problem? If you hold Ein Breira. So when they bought it, it's a partnership. That means each one owns it 100%, right? And now, the only way we could divide up the usage is what? Is by days, right? And they make a netter. Neither could benefit. So if I go into your courtyard, right? Maybe I'm benefiting from yours, or we say no, because originally when we bought it, whatever day is mine was only mine, whatever day is yours. So, but they were in the Dorim, it's the Doraisa, right? If you made a netter, I can't benefit from you. There's a question of violating the Doraisa. And yet the Gemara says in the Dorim, we say Yesh Breira. So how do we reconcile what we're saying here? Here everybody agrees by Doraisa, you don't say Breira. There you say Yesh Breira. No, because we say that when you originally bought it, whatever way we divide days, that day is only Reuven's, and that day is only Shimon's. So if that's the case, nobody's benefiting from anybody else's. I'm not in your domain on Sunday, and you're not in my domain on Monday. Even though we're dealing with they made a netter, we're dealing with a Doraisa there. Right?
So once they split up the days,
So what?
something.
But if you hold Ein Breira, the split is not a valid split. No, which if you hold. Because it's all based on how they originally bought it.
It's not based on initial.
No, they bought it undetermined. Which day? We didn't make up which days. If we bought originally Sunday, Monday,
As a partnership.
as a partnership, and we're going to work together in this together. Then we have this fight,
And then you want to split up.
and I said now we're going to divide it days of the week. Okay, and because we have the strength, I make a netter. You will not benefit from me. I will not benefit from you. To be determined. We'll see. We'll discuss.